Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is June the 20th, 2023. It is fantastic to be back with you all after a nice little hiatus there, little travel issues and everything else going on. First off, I'd like to start by wishing all the dads out there, hopefully you guys had a great Father's Day. To my dad, to everyone else out there, hopefully that was great. Also, to everyone, hopefully you had a happy Juneteenth. Which was yesterday, same day as my wife's birthday. So happy birthday to her. A lot going on in this last week. Last week was my 26th wedding anniversary. A lot happening. Really cool news for next year's Juneteenth. Hopefully, Caleb, you'll be able to come down here as the Cardinals will be playing the San Francisco Giants at Rickwood Stadium in Birmingham. I've been there before. It is awesome. It is the oldest professional ballpark in America, and that will be surrounded around the Juneteenth. What'd you say?
You said the America, which I thought was funny.
Well,
you said the
true.
America, which was funny.
I did mean just this America, since we are going to the old world America here coming soon, the Cardinals. But next year, hopefully we can go to that. I know tickets will probably be tough to get, maybe, but Birmingham, that would be really, really cool. I made your mom go to that park on our wedding anniversary, or on our honeymoon, by the way, just to see it.
I think it's cool because obviously that's one day after Juneteenth that they're doing it. And that's the home of the Black Barons. Like you said,
Yes.
one of the oldest ballpark in America.
Yep.
This America, not any of the other ones.
No.
But yeah, I'm really excited for that event. It's cool that they're kind of venturing out. I liked the Field of Dreams thing, but I didn't think it needed to be a yearly only Field of Dreams thing. And I think it's cooler that they're venturing out, especially any chance to have to honor the Negro Leagues, considering how royally they screwed those players and people over for so long. I like that they're taking the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to go to that. I don't know how they'll do those tickets. Obviously, I assume they'll do season ticket holders. They'll do the Birmingham. They'll have the Giants like that. Those are going to probably be tough because that stadium not massive. But that'll be that either way. That'll be a really cool event. It's nice to be back. As you can see, Caleb in a different location again. We're literally going to play a new game. Where's Caleb? This morning he is in my parents' basement. So as you can see, a lot of clothes hanging out. He has not been kidnapped. He is not hiding out from the law. He is in a basement in Illinois. All is well. You are safe. Correct. Blink twice if you need us.
No, I'm safe.
Okay, good.
I'm safe, but I am a little. I think I'm riding the rails these days. I never know where I'm going to be next. So this is for today.
For those of you who watch quite often, Caleb chose to live full time in Champaign, a place he hasn't been in like 3 months. So he has a home. He just chooses not to go to it and live the hobo lifestyle while drinking McDonald's lattes. So that is where we are right now. It's great to have you guys back. Thank you so much. We were going to put this out on Sunday, with it being Father's Day. Kind of had that messed up. We were going to do this last week. It was my anniversary with my wife. We had plans there. It's just been a busy week. Now we are back. We are ready to go twice to 2 to 3 times a week. I think we're going to get on a regular schedule. Those of you who can join us, obviously you can follow us on our socials. You can always find those. Hit that little button to subscribe to YouTube. We'd greatly appreciate that. So let's dig into the Cardinals. 3-game winning streak. Is it time to be excited, or is it one of those, is it cautiously optimistic? Is that what we have to be?
I think you just have to, at this point, watch and see what they do. Here's the good news. The good news is it's in front of them. Like they can go on, and I liked what they can go on a run here. And I think I liked what Wainwright said the other day after a loss. I think he said it. He said they have the opportunity to do something special and come back from this deficit. They just have to do it. Like the opportunity is in front of them. You have a red hot Reds team who's won 9 in a row, and that's all it took them to get to first place. They're sitting in first place alone right now. And the other teams are really struggling. The Pirates just aren't very good. The Brewers, Corbin Burns seems to be a shell of himself right now. You have the opportunity in front of you. Where I'm at is I'm just going to watch them every day, and they need to win. For me, I think they need to go on a 7-game winning streak here, at least. They need to take these 2 from Washington. They need to go to London. They need to beat the Cubs twice, and then they need to come home, and you've got a tough homestand. Like the week after, I believe you got Houston and the Yankees back to back. And we'll see what that looks like. Both those teams are struggling. But right now it's in front of you to go on a little bit of a 7-game winning streak and get some of the ground that you lost the last 3 weeks back. That's what's in front of them. Here's where I'm at. They can't lose to the Nationals this week. You have to beat them the next 2 games. Do what you can to beat them. There's no excuse to lose to that team. So that's where they're at right now. But I think they just need to take it one game at a time, and that's what I'm doing as a fan.
Nice to see them go into Citi Field, a place that has eaten them up in the past, and win 2 or 3. Now, granted, you did not have to face Verlander or Scherzer. Scherzer was dominant last night against the Astros, but then also to fall down 5-0 early yesterday and come back and win that game. I mean, Donnie with the big home run, Goldie with the home run, Nolan with a big hit late. Jordan Hicks, we're going to talk about him in a little bit, looks to be back. That was one of those wins that you kind of felt like maybe at the beginning of April or most of April, and then even in the last 2 weeks, that game felt like it would be over normally. And this team really has clawed
7
back
days ago.
There you go, to win that game. Obviously, I think the one thing that still scares me as a fan, and I guess I shouldn't be scared, but it's just the pitching staff as a whole and the rotation. I mean, when you look over the last 5 days, you have one guy who has below a 4.7 ERA in the last 2 weeks in our rotation, and that's Montgomery, who's been pretty good. But then you got Waino at a 4.7, Jack at a 6.5, Liberatore at a 7.7, and Miles at an 8.25. Now, I don't believe Miles is an 8 ERA pitcher, so don't get me wrong there, right? Yeah. However, it is concerning when this pitching staff, who we thought were maybe turning a corner. I mean, I think a couple of weeks ago, even like you said, 7 days ago, 10 days ago, we thought we're turning a corner, and they just haven't. And Jack Flaherty gutted through yesterday, but that
was an impressive performance.
It was. I agree. But he just hasn't. It's just going to be tough. I keep saying it. I've been saying it all year. I just think it's tough for this team to go on an extended run because of that starting rotation, which then leads to troubles in the bullpen. Something that they're just going to have to address either at the trade deadline, both at the trade deadline and next year in free agency. But you have to hope that we can outslug teams till we get to the trade deadline.
And that's what makes the latest slide so frustrating, because they were getting really good outings and not hitting. And now they're starting to slug a little bit, and they're having to outscore teams 8-6. It's like you just can't get everything firing on all cylinders. I'm not too worried. I'm not worried about Michaelis at all. I think he has an opportunity. He pitches tomorrow, so we'll see how he does. We have Monty tonight. I feel good about both of them. To be honest, I feel pretty good about Jack. I know he's had some struggles lately. That's the other 2 spots. Like Wainwright had a really good outing, I thought. Was that Saturday where he got his 198th win?
198. Yep.
I think he was pretty good. Liberatore, I think he might just be in the rotation until the deadline. If they're still in it, they'll replace him. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're going to be okay. I do. I think the rotation will be okay. But here's the thing: the offense has to pick up the slack. And if you've got to slug until the trade deadline and you've got to get yourself back into it, then do it. Like, I don't care how they're winning games at this point. You've just got to win them.
Couple things since we last talked. One, Ryan Helsley goes on the IL. When you hear forearm strain, that makes me immediately nervous. Hopefully it's nothing too bad.
They said all the imaging looked clean.
That's fantastic news.
So I think it was just inflamed.
2, Tyler O'Neill transferred to the 60-day IL. That back spasms, I mean, it's got to be way more than that. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Tyler O'Neill anymore.
The earliest he was going to be back was early July anyway, and that's where I think this sets him to be back July 4th. So that's probably
60 days, really?
Well, 60 days from when he got hurt. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that it had been that long already.
He's been out for well over a month, and I
have no reality of time.
I mean, we still have 14 days. Think about it, we still have 14 days till July 4th, and he's been out for over 15 days for sure, right? So, for over 45 days. He's been out for a long time. It's frustrating. He's frustrating, obviously. I'm sure he's frustrated as well. But I don't even know what his role is when he comes back on this team. So I almost think, not that he's a problem by any means, but it kind of pushes off a problem of what do you do with him when he's back? Do you want to play him so we can get some trade value? Do you want to just say, okay, you're going to play against lefties, and that's your role because we've got guys playing well? But even then, he can't even play against lefties because your outfield's Walker's going to stay in that lineup. Carlson's going to be in that lineup. And I would rather have Nootbaar against a lefty at this point than O'Neill, I think. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. That is frustrating. You kind of hoped he would come back and be middle of the order bat again. I just don't think that's going to happen in St. Louis again. I just don't
and then thirdly, I'd like to get your take on kind of what was the big news until obviously the 3-game winning streak here that we've rattled off, and that's Nolan Arenado's comments last week. Obviously sheer frustration. Obviously, I mean, there were some shots fired there. Like you can, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. That's not my job. I feel like he said it very well. There were some shots fired at ownership right there and at Mo. Now, obviously everybody's going to go back to, well, he flew out. He had the conversation with Nolan. Like what does that relationship look like? But there were some shots about the youth, about the rotation. It was thinly veiled. It wasn't directed at anyone. Go ahead and give me your thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on what Nolan said last week?
My thoughts on this have developed since I heard it the first time. When I heard the first time, I was angry. I was at the game that they lost. Actually, I was at the Oyster Bar because I left the game after they tied it because I was pissed off. But so my thoughts have kind of developed into one. I don't like what he said at all. I felt like he was pointing blame at young players. Not only did I feel like he was pointing the blame at the young players, which is what that is by saying it's hard to win with these young guys. It's pointing like, oh, these guys are the problem when most of those guys are outperforming Nolan Arenado this year, who's been kind of dreadful defensively this year. Like, just to put it bluntly, he's been bad. He's not hitting like he normally does, even though he's been better lately. I didn't like that part of it. And it was just blatantly inaccurate what he said, because they're like middle of the pack in average age. So that's also just wrong. Look at some of the teams that are playing well in the National League. Diamondbacks way younger. I think the Dodgers are even younger per year. Like I think they are. And it's just, that part was frustrating to me. It's like, so Nolan, do you think that you need all veterans to win? Is that what you need? Like, that's what I didn't understand. I understand the part where he's frustrated the front office didn't do enough. Maybe they do need another veteran presence in that clubhouse. But at the end of the day, like, Nolan's supposed to be the guy that leads these young guys. Goldie's supposed to be the guy that leads these young guys. I'm sorry, but when you have a middle of the order of Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, that's not a young team.
No,
you've got your three best players, who two of the three have underperformed, including you, who was talking, have underperformed. That's why you've lost a lot of games. If Nolan Arenado hadn't gone through a funk where he was like invisible for, I don't know, 6 weeks, this team probably 5 games under 500, maybe better. So I get what he's saying, and that the front office should do more, but saying we're too young and that's one is wrong, because it's not the case. But also you're passing off blame to younger players, I feel like, which I don't like at all.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, he did say, I've stunk with runners in scoring position. I've stunk here. I whatever. He did take some of that ownership as well.
Yeah, you can't.
But I do agree. And I do think it reiterates the question of who are the leaders in this clubhouse. I really, truly do.
Him.
It should be, and it should be Goldie, and it should be Waino. And I'm not saying it's not. Please understand that I'm not speculating. I'm not in that clubhouse, but it does feel like at times people are looking around to like, who is the guy? When we do know that over the last 18 years, when we knew who everybody was looking at. There for a long time, it was Yachty and Albert. Albert leaves, it's still Yachty. But then we also had guys like Beltran. We had guys like Berkman. We had guys like Matt Holliday, who we knew who the leaders were, along with Waino and Chris Carpenter. Like, we knew who those guys were. I'm sure there were others. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying
Matt
to leave
Carpenter took on that role.
There you go. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. But it does feel like those are two future Hall of Famers. Like, and I understand Scott Rowland wasn't a rah-rah guy. He's a Hall of Famer now. Congrats to him. But he also had Edmonds around him. He had Tony La Russa in that dugout. He had Albert. He had Reggie Sanders. He had a whole lot of vets around him as well. Matheny, yes, along with a lot of the pitching staff at that time. So he didn't have to be that guy. This team needs a guy. And it can't. I don't think it needs to be a 26-year-old Andrew Kisner. I'm not saying no shot at Andrew Kisner, but and I think Wilson is still trying to find his footing on this team. He's trying to find his spot.
I mean, it's almost impossible for him to be a leader with what they've done to him. Like,
yes.
And also him being new, he's not going to come in and be that leader immediately anyway, because they didn't sign him to be the Justin Turner of the Red Sox, where you come in and you're coming in to be that leader.
Right.
The problem I think Goldie is the guy. Just from what I've heard, when they were struggling and they went on that streak, it was Goldie held this meeting and gave this speech. I don't care too much for speeches, but it worked. And it seems to be Goldie every time that happens. Arenado needs to step up, because here's the thing. This is his second organization that have built around him. I get Colorado had its downfalls, but at the end of the day, they had some teams with a lot of talent that didn't go very far. They had a team with Charlie Blackmon and Trevor Story and Arenado all at their prime, and they went nowhere. Arenado needs to, I think, I'm a big fan, but he needs to he needs to stop looking around at other people all the time. To me, why are you looking around for so many problems when you know
Agreed.
if you were playing as well as you should be playing, you're making $35 million this year to play third base every single day. This team would be in a better spot than they're in. Why are you bringing up youth? And you can go out there and say, well, I'm bad at this and I'm bad at this. He takes accountability that way, but then the next words out of your mouth are kind of passing off the blame again. So for me, I'm not angry at him by any means, but I thought his comments, one, were misguided and like inherently false, but also that they were blaming people in the media. If you want to go into the GM's office and say these things, fine. We don't need to know about that. But if what's the point of saying that to the media? Who you throwing under the bus? You throwing under Walker? Is it Gorman? Is it Donovan? Because all three of those guys have helped this team probably more than you have this year. So
Okay,
I don't know.
Let's talk a little bit about the construction of the lineup and things that are happening with this team and where we kind of see that going. I think it's still intriguing. Like Jordan Walker, first of all, let's give him his mad props. I mean, good Lord, had his first 3-hit game, another 11-game hitting streak, right? That was snapped yesterday, correct?
No, we got 2 hits yesterday.
Oh, my apologies. 12-game streak. All right. It's unbelievable when you look at that. I mean, there are 3 guys with 2 10-game hit streaks in a year under the age of 21 in the Cardinals history. 3 guys: Jordan Walker, Albert Pujols, Rogers Hornsby. When you join those 2 in the company of anything, that's incredible. But I'm still perplexed on what we're doing hitting him behind Wilson Contreras at this point. Look, you look around the league. Look where Corbin Carroll's hitting. Look where Ellie De La Cruz is hitting. Look where Matos is hitting second. They just called him up. They put him right in the heart of it. I don't understand our unwillingness to move one of our best hitters up in the lineup. Yesterday at the DH, I thought that was interesting. Well, you can talk about that if you want. It just drives me wild, the inability to make adjustments when you have guys who are hitting, who can drive in runs in a hot spot for you.
Yeah, I want to get to that hitting streak. I mean, he's in company with, I would say, the 2 best right-handed hitters to ever be in the Cardinal system.
Absolutely.
History. I mean, the system, like with Hornsby and Albert, I don't even think it's close. Those 2 are probably definitely the 2 best. So that's cool for him. He's hitting more homers now. He's lifting the ball a little bit better. I would bet him 5th. I wouldn't move him up. I wouldn't move any of the guys in the top 4 down. Like
No. I agree with that.
Nolan's starting to get it going. So he can bat 5th, and that's where I'd put him. I wonder if some of it is trying to gain back Wilson's confidence because they feel like they probably crushed him at the beginning of the year, and they're trying to say, okay, we're sticking with you here. But I think I would bet him Wilson 6th. I think that's an easy switch to make. I think they will. I think they'll do that eventually. But my hope kind of is that they don't have to, and Wilson starts hitting like he should. But I think at this point, Walker might just be a better hitter than Wilson, even when Wilson's hitting like Wilson. Like, I haven't seen Wilson look like Walker at all this year.
No.
Like, he hasn't had that one great game against Los Angeles, but what Walker's doing right now, he's consistently hitting. And I'd be okay with moving him to the 2 spot at some point if that would happen.
Same.
But at that point, I don't know if I'm not moving Nootbaar or Walker. Or Donovan out of the top 3. So probably not anytime soon. But yeah, I think they'll move him up eventually. I'm okay with them slow playing it, but I feel like they're kind of over slow playing it.
Yeah, here's the thing with me. I get what you're saying about the confidence with Wilson. Totally do. So far, he's got it. I mean, we saw the embrace with he and Ali in the dugout. Like, it's eating at him. Like, I think this is a guy who
yesterday.
I think he does not sleep. I think he does, like, when things are not going well, this is a guy who wears it. Like, he wears it hard. And he wants to do nothing but great things for this organization and this team, even after what we saw happen in the first 2 months still, right? And he's going to be, if this team wants to go on a run, he has to be a key contributor. Defensively and offensively.
I want to get into that a little bit because he talked about, he FaceTimed Victor Martinez, the old stud Tigers catcher forever. Apparently he's like a father to him, is what he said. And he said they had a conversation where Victor was like, you gotta get your confidence back. You've got to go out there and play like you're trying to win, not just trying to, if you go over 4, you still gotta be playing like you're trying to win. Help your teammates, all those things. Victor basically gave him a pump-up speech because I know Victor had some problems with PEDs, but still was a great leader for the Tigers forever. And since then, they're 3-0, so that's cool. And Wilson has a different energy about him. I feel like you see him behind the plate. Like, it's not too often when they were 16 games under 500, won a game to get to 15. under 500, and Wilson looked like he had just like clinched a division or something. Like he brings that energy that's almost like it's like I don't want to like say it's immature or anything, but it's kid-like energy is what he brings. It's very infectious, like when you're playing machine pitch and you're just excited that you're there, you're excited to play with your teammates. That's the energy Wilson brings when things are going well. And I think that can lighten up a clubhouse, but he also brings the energy where if you buzz his tower, he might beat you up and kill you. I don't know. That's the energy he brings. And when he's playing well, we've seen that. We saw that again that game against Los Angeles, where he hit those 2 home runs, and it was almost like an angry fire. It's a different type of fire, kind of like what Yachty had. When I want to see more of that, I think he can do a lot for this team, but I don't think it's going to hurt his confidence to bat him 6th. I don't think
I don't either. I don't either. And D is gonna be really pissed at you, by the way, for only mentioning Victor's stint in Detroit and not his incredible run in Cleveland. So that's on you. You get to deal with that.
To be fair, growing up, Victor Martinez was a Tiger to me. It just
well,
was.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's the crust you're gonna have to bear because I'm on D's side on this one. So
when was the last? When did he stop playing for the Guard?
I don't know the year. I don't know the year.
Even alive when he stopped playing.
But either way, speaking of that lineup, Nolan Gorman continues to struggle, and over this last 32 days has a 411 OPS. You think maybe a couple days off, maybe before they go to London, wouldn't be a bad idea? Or I mean, you hate to, obviously here's the thing with Nolan Gorman, and you and I, massive Nolan Gorman fans. These are the things that he's going to do in his career. I hope that everybody understands that. I've seen people on Twitter, maybe we got way too early about. No, this is the type of guy that Nolan Gorman has been his entire life, like in the professional ranks. You have to ride the valleys because the peaks are so high, but the valleys are very low. If you were Ollie, if you were the Cardinals, obviously they dropped him down in the lineup. Probably should have done that earlier and sooner, in my opinion. The lack of adjustments in the lineup to me really do make me scratch my head.
I was okay with waiting.
But what would you do with Gorman over the next couple of days in Washington?
He's batting 100 exactly in his last month, 30 games. That's bad. That's real bad. What I would do is I wouldn't play him today is Corbin pitching tonight? Patrick Corbin, is that who it is? I know they face a lefty tonight.
I think it is Corbin.
He wouldn't be playing today. And depending on how you feel, I think I'd play him tomorrow. I do. Just because if he can go out there and have, maybe hit a homer, maybe go 2 for 4 after a day off.
Escobar, by the way.
You have some confidence.
Oh no! Good lord! It still says TBD on MLB, so I don't know if they have.
I heard that they were facing a lefty tonight. Maybe they scratched him. I don't know, but he would be off tonight. I'd play him tomorrow. He looked really good at second base, so let's give him some praise. He had some really nice plays there yesterday, like 4 of them. I think he looked really, really good. I would be patient with him. Here's the thing to me that I like. I like the one he knows how good he can be in this league. He hadn't seen that before, where he can go on a 2-month stretch where he's legitimately a top 5 hitter in baseball, which is what he was. Now it's about finding the consistency, a little bit more consistency. I don't think he's ever going to be Paul Goldschmidt level consistency, Kyle Tucker level consistency.
Well,
I don't
Kyle
think
Tucker
that's
really
coming.
Struggling.
Okay, fine. Jordan Alvarez level consistency.
There you go.
I don't think he's going to be able to do that, but I do think he needs to find a way where he can still be productive when he's struggling, whether that's hitting a homer, homering every 4 or 5 games when you're struggling still. And here's the thing, he's not striking out as much the last couple of games. He's popping out a lot. You can see the frustration.
Just missing
every time he pops out, he slams his bat down.
Yeah.
I think his at-bats are getting better, and I think he's getting back to where he needs to be. And I do think a day off will be good. I wouldn't send him for 2, because then now he's off for 4 days, and then he's in London. And then he's off, and then he's there for 2 days, and he's off again. I think I'd play him tomorrow, but today I'd give him a break. You've got enough players. Put Carlson in center field, move Tommy to second base. And that's your fix for me today. That's what I would do.
Can we talk about that for a second, please? And I know that Ollie's comments were that Tommy has solidified the defense. I understand that. And I understand that Paulie D hit a bomb over the weekend. I do. I understand that as well. Right?
He hit yesterday too.
I get it. But at some point, again, I continue to ask the question, because we traded Harrison Bader because we knew we had Dylan Carlson who could take over in center field. What is the reluctance? Why do they hate Dylan Carlson? I don't understand why he's not in center field every day.
He wasn't playing yesterday because of his elbow.
Right. Yeah, he got hit on I saw that. I get it.
That's why he said they weren't playing him because of that. I think One, I think they can mix and match with it, and they can go matchup based. Like if Carlson's going to struggle against this righty that's coming up, maybe you put Tommy in center field, and you think DeYoung has a better chance, then do that. And DeYoung, to be fair to him, he's had a lot. He's helped them win the last two games. Without DeYoung, they don't win that game yesterday. He created 2 runs by himself at the bottom of the order. So I get it. I would be playing Carlson probably just about every day, but I also don't mind that they're kind of shifting things around and seeing what's working. Like it's tough to me because I think there's 10 players that kind of deserve to all be playing a decent amount right now. Obviously, you have the guys that are playing every day. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if they're gonna end up putting Tommy back at shortstop at any time soon. But Paul DeYoung, I mean, he's playing well again, and you don't take that guy out when he's on a hot stretch.
That's
You
fair.
just don't, because that's a game-changing bat in your lineup when he's hot.
I do think we have to talk about the fact that hitting left-handed, Tommy has a weighted runs created plus of 54. Like at some point,
yesterday left-handed.
Okay. I'm one. You picked one game. All right. I'm going to pick the other
Hey,
59 or
hit a triple.
59. I understand. I'm just saying, like, we can't talk about him as he's this elite from the left side if we're going to bury Dylan Carlson from the left side also. That's the only thing that bothers me. And I just don't, it's another, to me, outside 35,000 feet above. It's another Cardinal mishandling of a young player who we all believed coming into this season was going to be playing every single day in the outfield.
Well, if we're being fair, Dad, he was playing every day, and then he got a day off because his elbow hurt. So we don't know
he's
how
not
this
playing
is
center
play
field. Like
yet.
he's your center fielder, bro. Like he's your center fielder. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Tommy Edman.
Tommy,
I love Tommy. I do. You know that. He cannot.
He's graded out better.
He can't throw. We might have the worst outfield arms outside of Lars that I've ever seen.
Carlson has a great arm.
He's not in center.
I
think you're missing the point. I want to see Walker, Carlson, and Nootbaar in the outfield every day.
Yeah, but we haven't seen what they're going to do with Carlson since Nootbaar's back yet. So we'll see what happens. I think a lot of why Tommy was in center field was more about, one, he was great out there, but also I think he was more comfortable in center than he was in the corners.
I understand.
So they played the guys that are most comfortable. We know Dylan's a really good right fielder. We saw that his rookie year, and they both played really well out there. I'm going to wait a couple games. I'm going to let this play out because there's a chance that some good one goes really cold. Someone makes some mistakes. You know, maybe Tommy made another diving play in center field yesterday. We're going to see how it plays out. I'm going to give them some grace now, let them figure it out. My hope is someone takes the job and runs with it. Like we talked about at the beginning of the year, guys have to take the opportunity and run with it. So there's no question. Like if that's Paul DeYoung, great. If Paul DeYoung gets 5 home runs over the next 2 weeks, awesome. I'm fine with that. I don't care who it is. Someone needs to take the job and run with it. So there's no question of, do we play Carlson? Do we play Tommy? They're pretty similar. Someone needs to take it over. I don't really care who it is.
We do apologize. Caleb's video is not so strong down there. I think in the 1950s basement that he's in right now.
Did something happen?
It's just kind of lagging at times. Now that could just be on my end. When you go through and polish it up, it could be absolutely fine. But if it is struggling, again, he's hiding out. He's on the lam. So we have to take care of all of that. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button as always. Let's talk a little bit about the bullpen. Jordan Hicks, 3 in a row. Now, early on, and I think you and I both have said this, like we could not figure out why he could not get swing and miss stuff. He's starting to. It's almost like maybe there's a mindset there that he's way more comfortable now. Realized, I'm not going to start. Maybe realize I'm going to make myself a whole lot more money next year if I just come out and start mowing guys down. He did something the Cardinals reliever hasn't been able to do in what it feels like years, and that is pitch close 3 straight games out. Like that's something we haven't seen. Huh?
2 years.
There you go. So it felt years. That's years.
Alex Reyes did it.
Okay, there we go. Well, we know unfortunately what happened with Alex Reyes, but it is nice to see that. Now I am a little bit nervous about the rest of the pen. Always, I'm just going to be that the pen is not. It's just not a strong bullpen anymore. What we thought, and that's not their fault. That's because of a weak rotation, which has just caused massive strain on that bullpen. However, Jordan Hicks appears to be back.
Yeah, I mean, he's your closer right now, and no doubt about it. Even when Helsley comes back, I think that might be your guy in the 9th. He said he feels more comfortable out there. It's a different level of intensity for him. And they talked earlier in the year about how he had trouble coming into games and getting that intensity where it needed to be immediately. What's better in a save opportunity? That's how you get your intensity up there immediately. So I like what I'm seeing from him. He has a different mindset. I mean, good Lord, 3 days in a row and 104 back-to-back pitches to end the game. with like 18 inches of run to tell Lane Thomas to sit down. Like what that was nasty. So I'm really happy for him. But man, I'll tell you what, when Helsley comes back, that's 3 fire breathing dragons out there with him, Hicks, and Gio that can make a lot of people uncomfortable. You'd like to throw a lefty into that mix and get maybe Jesus Cabrera also up to that level or something, but I feel good about where the bullpen can be at when fully healthy, if we will see that again.
Yeah, I think that's the question. Couple more things, especially with the bullpen. I mean, it's huge to have a guy out there like Hicks right now. When you're talking about a team who's blown 15 saves and 25 leads this year, tops in the NL or MLB, I think in both. That's rough. Think about it. You cut that in half. I mean, think about what this season looks like and what we're talking about right now. I mean, you just can't have the giving up leads constantly. We saw it, like you said, on the game you were at. You're up 5-1, and the next thing you know, you're losing to the Giants on a Mike Yastrzemski home run, which, by the way, the Padres did last night also. Mike Yastrzemski goes into the water, into McCovey code.
He's not afraid of the big moments.
He is not, and neither are the Giants. Like, that is a surprise team. You know,
They're
we haven't spent a lot
rolling
of time on the Giants this year, but that's a team. But either way, back to the pen. That's just a nice thing to see right now.
Yeah, I think we talked about it when we got swept by the Pirates, that Bednar went 3 games in a row. FU, we were shutting down the 9th, and we both said that's not something anyone in our bullpen would do. Little did we know, it was just not. He just wasn't closing games yet, but he would do it.
Right.
So Ollie said before the game, he said, if there's a save situation, you better hand me the ball. I'm sure there was some more colorful language than that. And Ollie was like, okay, if it's a save situation, you're going in. And I mean, I thought there was a picture of Ollie after he closed the game, because Ollie really vouched for Jordan Hicks early in the year. I think kind of put his ass on the line and said, I want this guy here. And there was a picture of him like smiling and like giving high fives after Hicks closed out the game. I think that's something as well when you see a guy like Hicks who's had health issues, who hasn't been a closer in, I think it was 3-4 years since he'd gotten his last save before Saturday. Put his ass out on the line and go there and want to win that badly to where he's willing to go 3 in a row for you, throwing 104. That's something, little things like that can galvanize a team and bring energy to the team. So a guy need to step up. If you would have told me Hicks would have been the guy, I don't really know if I would have thought that would have been my top 10 list of guys to step up and give you energy just because he pitches so little. But I mean, something like that, something little like that can really turn the tide a little bit. And hopefully that turns out tonight. I am a little bit worried about tonight because I think Gio's probably down. I think Hicks is definitely down. He's not going 4 in a row. So this is a game where the offense needs to blow out a team. I thought about this a little bit. I think another reason that this bullpen is so tired, yes, our stars aren't going super deep, but also every game is close.
Yeah,
like you've got to put a team away. Like even yesterday, like at the moment with Hicks was awesome, but yesterday Goldie's up 1st and 3rd, 2 outs, and the 8th, he hits a gapper there. Hicks doesn't have to come in that game, and then he can be used tonight. So they've really got to step on their throat today if they have the lead and keep adding on. But it's hard to do when you give up 6 runs, to be honest.
I do wonder if the MLB officials are like, oh my God, we picked Cubs Cardinals in London first. Like, that's gonna be incredible. And now you see both teams really struggling. However, I do think it's gonna be cool to watch the game on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. I guess I don't know what time it is on Saturday, but I think it's
Saturday's
cool.
Like 3, I think.
That's what I thought. The Cardinals are heading over to London to play the Cubs. That's cool. Hey, grow the game. We've seen what the NFL's done. We've seen what the NBA's done. Obviously, we know that MLB's played in Mexico City. They've played in other areas. You have to continue to grow. This is a global international game. You have to continue to grow it. Pretty cool. One of my former students, actually, Jost, lives in London. I'm going to actually contact her today. She posted yesterday if anybody was coming over. I think she's heading to either one of the games or both of them. So she's living in London now. Yeah, so that's pretty cool that she's obviously from St. Louis. That's pretty cool that she's going to go. I think she worked at the Post-Dispatch, I know, for a while. I'm not exactly sure what she's doing over there, but that's pretty cool. For those people heading over, really good friend of mine's brother, who also is a friend of mine, they're heading over from Philly to go to the game. Miguel, I know that they're excited. They weren't greatly excited about the fact that it was going to be the Cubs Cardinals who were struggling. However, Emma also just said one of her friends, Abby Brown, a friend of ours, also is there. So we know we got a lot of people that we know are going to be in attendance. That's pretty cool. But what are your thoughts about the Cardinals playing in London this weekend? I mean, I think it's a manager's worst nightmare, but I think it's great for the game.
I like that they have 2 days off before, so you can kind of just take the red eye, get out there, and then probably have a couple days in London, which is cool for the team. My hope is it bonds the team together maybe a little bit more. Honestly, like that a trip like that can really do that. I think, I think it's cool. I'm all right with it. I don't love how many things the Cardinals have done this year to kind of throw them off their rhythm. Like you remember we have to play on the holiday to pack Busch Stadium at 1 p.m. on a Monday.
Right.
And that caused 19 games in a row, like we know. I kind of wish, and then next year they're doing this Birmingham thing, which I think is cool. I'm not worried about it. Here's what I will be pissed off about. If they, come back and then they lose, they get swept by the Yankees or whatever, and they use any part of London as an excuse, I'm gonna be pissed off. I'm tired of the excuses. You go out there, sweep the Cubs in 2 games because the Cubs are hot garbage. They stink. Sweep them, come back and play well at home. I don't care if you're tired from your first class 8-hour flight. I don't know how long it is. I don't care. Just I don't want to hear any complaining about being tired or jet lagged. But other than that, I think it's cool.
Yeah, and the Astros really struggling. We saw last weekend the Astros, Yankees. Who else was it? All swept. Dodgers all swept. So the Astros are. I mean, they have so many injuries on that pitching staff. Their offense has not come together outside of obviously Jordan, like they thought it would. Good. Who?
Altuve has been really good.
Yeah, obviously, but I'm just saying as a whole has not really clicked like they thought it would. They get blown out by the Mets last night, so that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
One last thing
I think they said. Sorry, one more thing on that. I think they've lost 6 in a row for the first time since 2017.
Good Lord.
Which was the year they won the fake World Series, but that's that's crazy. That's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
It's taken that long to lose 6 in a row.
Another piece of Cardinals news has happened over the weekend. David Freese declines the red jacket. I thought that was really interesting to see. Now, you and I came on and we've talked about this twice on here. In my mind, David Freese is not a Cardinal Hall of Famer when you look at the body of work, right? He's just not. However, you did convince me that because of what he did, which in my mind, I tried to counter argue that still belongs in the Cardinal Hall of Fame. That moment, all of that still is there. I think that's kind of the way David sees it. I know he talked about a low time at his point or in his life as well. I think there were a lot of things going on there. It's not my job to speculate everything that was happening in David Freese's life.
Well, we know some of it was public. But...
I think that's an honorable thing for him to do. Where do you stand on the David Freese declining to go into the Cardinals Hall of Fame?
This is kind of a weird take I think I'm going to have is I don't stand anywhere on it. It's not my place to have a stance. I don't think it's up to David Freese. And I respect his decision. That's about all I really have my opinion on it. He had some issues when he was in St. Louis. They're documented. I don't feel like bringing him back up to light. If you want to look them up, they're out there. He had some legal issues and stuff. Nothing too awful. Not like anything that's going to get you in jail for life or anything, but he had some issues. I also think there might be a little bit of a, feeling like you don't deserve the honor you were given. And he kind of, if you watch his interview when he was told he got in, he was kind of like, why? Why was I in there? I almost feel like he thinks was right guy, right spot. Like if he didn't come up in that situation to hit that triple, if he didn't, because if he doesn't take those 2 swings, obviously he's not even in consideration for the Cardinal.
Right.
Which I kind of hate for him. I wish he would enjoy a little bit more what he did for the city, but I get it. It's not my place to speculate anything or really, like I said, have a stance because I don't know why I would have a stance on this. It's completely his decision.
Yeah,
I respect it. I would like to see him in the Hall of Fame, but if he doesn't feel like he deserves it, that's his decision. I do wish they would reopen the voting so one of the other guys who were all very deserving, I felt, could get in this year. I do wish they would do that.
Why don't I'm just asking, and I don't know, maybe they addressed this and I missed it. Why don't they just go to whoever was the next highest vote getter?
I don't know if that's really fair because how many people that voted for David Freese would vote for someone different?
That's a good point.
So I would just reopen it for a couple weeks and then redo it. I know that would be a lot of planning the having all the stuff ready and planning all the what's it called, advertisement and marketing, like all that stuff would be difficult. But I would because I think the other 3 that were all the other 3 that were on it were very deserving of at least getting another shot to get in. So that's what I would.
Andahar, Matt Morris, Edgar Renteria.
Yeah,
is that it?
No.
Because to
Joaquin
me, Edgar
Andujar?
Rent, I love Edgar Renteria. He's not a Cardinal Hall of Famer.
I think Joaquin Andujar on it too.
Yeah, I said Andahar, Morris, and Edgar. Was there?
And
Am
another
I
pitcher, lefty. Oh,
Seems like we should
I
know
think he's a
this.
Hall of Famer.
Well, then he would have been in.
Okay,
If
you
he's a
keep
Hall
talking,
of,
I'll find it.
I'm talking about the guys that have played in them, not there's obviously Oquendo's going in, and there's another guy going in with him, who is the OG. I can't remember who it is, but whatever. That's all right. All right, we got two things
really
coming
bothering
up that I want to hit on. We're 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from the All-Star game, somewhere in that area. Playing
3.
playing Cardinal, what if or hopes or whatever. Yes.
It was Steve Carlton.
Oh, that you were right. I left you is in the Hall of Fame. Okay, but now into Hall of Fame because of his Phillies career.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
I was just saying he was in the
Yeah.
Hall
You're
of
right.
Fame.
Thank you. That one went right. I just completely missed it. Anyway, two things about the All-Star game coming up. Who do you think will represent the Cardinals at the All-Star game? That's question one. And two, where would you like to see the Cardinals? I'm not worried about the standings, all right? But record-wise, as you go into the July spectacular there, the mid-season spectacular, classic.
Can you, while I'm answering your first question, can you look up how many games we have left before the All-Star break?
Yeah, I can.
Do a quick count. Okay. I think Goldie's in. He's having a really, really good year again. I think it's going to be Freddie, Pete, and Goldie will be the 3 first basemen representing. I think if Gorman has another hot week or two, I think he has a chance to get in because he's got a lot of votes already. And if his stats look a little bit better, and even if he's up over an 850 OPS, he'll be close. I don't know if he gets in. I wish he would. I think Arenado has a chance. But for me right now, the only clear ones are Goldie. Is that the only clear one to me? I think maybe right now. I'll say Goldie and Nolan both get in. Arenado.
You think Nolan gets in?
I do. He's leading the votes right now at third base. There's all the third basemen that you love, like Riley, Machado, and NL. They're all kind of struggling right now. And no one's
17
back
games.
over 800.
17
games. They need to go 12-5.
Okay. So
So
that
what
means
would that be? That would gain 7 games on their record. They would be 5 games, 6 games under 500. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Okay. And then you feel
What's
better
their
about
record right
that.
now? They're
Well, yeah,
13 games under right now, so they'd gain 7. So
Yeah,
they
so
would
it'd be
be
6 games
6.
under.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would feel better about that because then you have a chance to get up close towards 500 before the deadline. So
Okay.
yeah, I say 12-5 because I think you need to win the next 4 games.
Okay. Leading to the deadline. That's what we don't spend a ton of time on this, but I do think it's really interesting to me. And so I did a little research around this.
Wait, hold on. Who do you think should be in the All-Star game?
Goldie. I think
think
Gorman deserves it. I just don't know
No,
if
he
this
doesn't.
recent, I don't know if this recent slide is, I think it's going to keep him out.
The All-Star game was at 3 months of baseball ish, 3 months.
Yeah,
You can't bat 100 in one of those months and make.
I agree. So that's why I think Goldie's it.
And I
think
love
he's the
Gorman,
lone
but he's just
representative.
I think Gorman's got another step to take, and I think he can't take that step to become that upper level of player. He's shown now that he can do it, which is great. He has something to go back to. Before he didn't really have anything to go back to. Now he can go back to the drawing board and say, "This is what made me successful. How do I sustain it?" Which I think is a good thing. He's still 23 years old. He'll figure it out. I believe.
I do assume MLB will use the exemption to get Adam Wainwright into the game. I do believe that will probably happen.
Unless there's anyone else in the NL that has that, I would say so. But probably him and Miggy again.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Is it's those two. So either way, let's talk about the deadline a little bit. I just took a little look. I didn't go deep into every team. I didn't go into that, but I kind of want to look around the league at some controllable arms because I think the Cardinals are proposed with 2 things leading up to the deadline. Obviously, we're a month away from that, but that's not that long. I think one, they're challenged with what do we do for this year? But I think you have to look beyond that, whether you are going for it or not. I think you have to look at controllable arms for next year and the future, simply because honestly, right now you have Miles Michaelis in this rotation. Steven Matson's back. You got Liberatore, but we don't know what those guys are. Right now, one is in the bullpen and the other has a 7 ERA in the last month. So honestly, if you want to be fair, I think I also have a feeling with Boris, I have trouble seeing the Cardinals re-signing Jordan Montgomery. And I just feel like Jack Flaherty's probably out the door with his struggles. I could be wrong. I love Jack.
We'll see. I'm not sure about that one yet.
Right. Agreed. I don't know either. But just taking a look around, I want to get your take on these, and you might have some to add. Looking at the White Sox, obviously. Now, the White Sox have played themselves back into, I mean, that Central, AL Central, just like the NL Central. I did not check. Let me check out. Where are they at right now in there? They're not.
I think they're 11 games under 500. But the Twins are leading that division, and they're a game under.
They're 12 games under 500, but they're only 5.5 back. So that kind of depends on what they do in the next month as well.
That division's a sorry excuse for a division.
It's rough. If you just looking at their two, Kopech, that's a guy signed through. I mean, you'd have him through 2026, and then Dylan Cease obviously through 2026. I mean, both. I mean, I
Cease not really.
Well, no, I just don't. I just have a hard time even thinking that the White Sox are going to trade Cease, and I also have a hard time thinking that if they do, that the Cardinals are even going to be in that, because right now, like I listen to MLB now. I watch MLB Network every morning. Every team, when they talk about these competing teams, what do they need? It's pitching, and you have a lot of teams competing right now. So that market, that's why they might trade Dylan Cease, because right now might be the most you ever get for him if you think you can. But Kopech and Cease from the White Sox, anything you think about there?
They're both electric arms. Both of them have really, really good stuff. Here's where I'm at. If the Cardinals are in contention, if they get back and we're looking in there within 5 games of the division, I don't really give a shit what the record is. If they're within 5 games of the division by the trade deadline, for me, with the group of guys you have, you go for it. You just do. There's no reason not to. You go for it. You say one last hurrah with Waino, one last hurrah with Monty, and if you don't want to re-sign Jack, one last with him. And you got Goldie and Nolan. They're getting older. So I think they're going to get back into that spot where they're going to be buyers. If you're not, if we go and this turns south again, and maybe they come back from London and get swept by both the Astros and the Yankees, if that happens, I think I wait to get an arm until the offseason when there's not the urgency.
Well, I was going to get to if they're sellers in a minute. So
sellers is different. I don't think we're even going to know about that for a long time, to be honest with you. Like we won't know.
If you look at the Guardians, they're only 2 games out. That's a weird, they're such an odd franchise, simply because they do the unexpected. Like they zig when you zag and they zag when you zig. Mm-hmm. So will they, I mean, they might see it as, hey, we can get a haul this season for Shane Bieber and still compete.
I think he's gone
now. Right. So, I mean, that's a guy. Now, Tristan McKenzie's another guy that's under control through 27. I've heard his name pop up. I would just do what?
I think he's out for the year, isn't he?
Oh, is McKenzie now out for the year?
Yeah, I think so.
I honestly didn't know he got re-hurt.
Yep. On IL with elbow sprain. He's not out for the year, but it might be a while.
So Bieber probably the guy we're looking at there. Again, I've said before, I'm not against Shane Bieber. I'm just not giving up a haul, which I do believe someone will do. Like, if we're going to be honest, I do believe
name recognition alone.
Yes.
The Marlins. He's a really good pitcher, but I just don't like who. Yeah. Like for me, a team like the Padres would go buck wild to get him. And if I'm the Cardinals, I'm not getting in a bidding war for him. I'm just not. If they come to you and they say, "Hey, we really like Alex Burleson and Ivan Herrera," and they say you can have Shane Bieber, I'll consider it. But if it's okay, well, this team just said they want to give me their top 3 prospects. What do you want to do? I'll be like, okay.
No, right. Agreed. The Marlins, who are playing incredibly well, by the way. So when I say these names, I'm not saying this as if they're selling. Please understand that. I'm saying that this might not even be one of those trade deadline deals. But you look at guys like Luzardo, Cabrera, and Garrett. Like, those are 3 guys that would be massively controllable arms. There's no doubt that the Marlins are looking, and Skipper, they're going to be looking to upgrade that offense, probably in the outfield. I've seen a lot of people talk about catcher.
Hopefully.
The thing that gets me about catcher, and I've seen this going around, that Herrera would be a good match. That doesn't make sense. I don't see a team that's in a playoff hunt going after a catcher who has almost 0 major league experience. If they're going to trade for a catcher, which I believe that they might do, I think they're going to trade for a catcher who can come in immediately and be an established vet who probably has some success that way to handle that young pitcher.
Like Tucker Barnhart.
But that's not Ivan Herrera.
I'd be like, no, and I could see them wanting him for the future. I could definitely see that.
Well, their number 3 prospect's a catcher, and he's only a year and a half away, and he's a stud.
Yeah, but their prospects aren't great. to be fair. Like, and they can't develop hitting to save their life. So what
That's
hitters they
fair.
developed? When was the last time they drafted a hitter and he was good? I don't even know. They like JJ Bleday, they drafted with like the 6th pick and
Yep.
traded him. My thing is, I think there would be a really good match because that's one of those that's a baseball trade. It's no one's selling. It's, hey, I need pitching. Hey, you need hitting. Hey, we make a match.
Right.
Especially looking forward to next year. Max Meyer's going to be back next year. That kid's a stud. Yuri Perez has taken over a rotation spot, and when Rogers comes back, they're going to have too many starters, and I don't think Yuri Perez is going anywhere. He's been awesome. So I could definitely see them wanting to move somebody. And if it's Edward Cabrera, my God, I'd go all over that if I'm the Cardinals. I'm a big fan of Edward Cabrera. The Cardinals could be a really interesting match, even if they're both looking at a playoff spot, because I think, a Tyler O'Neill and plus they'd be plus more, but would be really intriguing to them because Tyler O'Neill would solidify some defense in the outfield. And he's a really good, and he could be, he has not a great bat for the Cardinals, but he could be their 5th best bat. For sure,
you put him out there with Chisholm and Soler. That's, that's,
right. And
yeah,
that they're that young stud that's in the outfield that's playing really well right now too. I can't remember his name. De La Cruz.
Yeah, Ryan, Ellie's brother.
Brian De La Cruz. He's really good player too. So they've got some pieces. I think it would be a good match. But once again, like if they're wanting Gorman or if they're wanting, some it's not happening. That's the thing is we can make these trades up in our heads. But if these teams only want the guys you don't want to give up, that's not going to happen. So that's what's interesting.
The 4th team that I think is interesting, but I also don't think are going to be making moves are the Mariners because they position themselves. They're back to 500. They're only 3 games out of the wild card. So, when you look at them, I think that's a team that in the maybe 10 to 14 days ago, you were thinking, hey, maybe with Logan Gilbert or a George Kirby, guys who you could have for the next couple of years. I just don't see those guys. I just don't see the Mariners moving on from
the
those
next
guys.
5 years.
Especially, Gilbert through 27, I think. Yeah, and Kirby through 26. Plus, I think there's an RBR in there. But they're down Robbie Ray. I just don't see them moving on from those guys. Like, and also, like I said, they've played their way back into that's a team that, if J-Rod gets hot, if Kelenic continues to hit, if they get some pitching going, they have a good bullpen. That's it. And Cal Raleigh gets going. That's a team that could be right there like they were last year. We know that. So I just don't see them moving on from a guy like Kirby or Gilbert.
That's not so I can't believe you ever thought that was a possibility.
No. It was I was using
teams
that I've seen a lot of people bring up in the media that I just kind of wanted to go through. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is everything goes wrong for the Cardinals, and you're looking at guys, we become sellers, all right, at the deadline. Let me get your take on these guys, because these are teams who will be in it, I believe, that you could but I'm not saying you can get these guys, okay? But these are guys that I would be like perking my ears up.
If everything goes wrong?
The Cardinals, everything goes wrong for the Cardinals. They become sellers. What did you not understand about that?
Oh, you said these teams are going to be contenders after that.
I said if everything goes wrong for the Cardinals and they become sellers, these are teams that are going to be contenders that maybe you could look at for potential trades near the deadline.
Oh, okay.
Are you with me?
I'm with you, but that setup was weird. Just go into what you're doing.
All right. Taj Bradley, anything there?
These are all just depending on what you're giving up. Yeah, he's really good.
You're looking at guys who are young, controllable arms that you're going to need to have. You're going to have to give up stuff, but you've got stuff to give up.
Yes, I like Taj Bradley a lot. I don't think the Mariners. I don't think the Rays don't trade controllable arms. They don't, because they're cheap.
Okay, fair. Gavin Williams in Cleveland, I don't see that happening, especially since I think that they're going to trade Shane Bieber. Owen White in Texas is one that's really interesting to me, because that's a team that has some young talent in their farm system. That's also a team who is playing incredibly good baseball. And that might be a fit there for a team that's probably looking for bullpen arms, maybe even another starter. What do you think there?
Yeah, he's really good. This is hard, Dad, because I don't know what are we giving up.
Okay, so maybe let's just move on. Maybe we shouldn't do this then.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about it. Well, here's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, these guys are really good young pitchers. I just don't know, like, what are we giving
That's fair.
up? Are we, because Jack Flaherty is not going to get you Owen White. Like,
no. That's not what I was saying. It would have to be a package of guys. I understand that.
But think about when it's from our side. Like, who are we trading Tink Hintz for?
That's fair. But I guess
like, we're not trading him. We're trading for a
we haven't been sellers. We haven't been sellers in forever. So that's what I'm kind
I
of
know.
looking at is like, if you're going to sell your guys, you better get something back of value that can help you in the future. So if we're buying, people are going to ask about T hints. That's why I'm playing the opposite side of the game.
Yes, but I know I get what you're doing, but I think here is like, who do we have to sell? And I know people are gonna say Goldie. I think that's stupid.
Yeah, I don't think he's
it's
going anywhere.
it's two pitchers really, and maybe like Hicks now. He's building up some trade value, guys like that. If we're selling that have half a year left on their deal, that's not getting you anything other than a mid-level prospect, probably.
Do you
or
look at selling a
level.
guy like Dylan Carlson?
Yeah, I just don't know who would buy him. What contender wants him?
Okay, that's fair. And I think the fact that our arms aren't.
I'm sorry to ruin your game.
No. These were just names that I was looking at. But again, I agree. And that's kind of where I was going to go at the end was I think our guys who are going to be on expiring contracts, you're not going to see teams give up that value. Like they're just not.
Nothing
It would
close
have
to
to
it.
be a Goldschmidt or an Arenado for us to get them. And I just don't see the Cardinals ever doing that. I just don't.
No. Grace's grandpa bet me a 6-pack of Bud Light that they would trade one of them. And I said, okay, free beer, thank you. Like, I was like, I'll bet you my entire bank account. Like that's what I'll do.
Finish up the season or the series with Washington. Head to across the pond to play the Cubs. McCutch, 5th active player with 2,000 hits. Huge Andrew McCutchen fan. Fantastic. If you have anything to say, you can raise your hand or you can jump right on in there. But Darvish gets 100 wins. Fantastic. Abreu, 1,500 hits. I thought he had more than that, I guess. That one would shock me. I thought he was closer to 2,000. Obviously, he came into the league a little bit later, but I thought he had more than that.
He was old. I think he was like 30, 33 or something when he came over.
Altuve, 1,000 runs. Hall of Famer. I don't care what anybody says, he's a Hall of Famer. I think it's awesome that Henry Davis got the call up. He's playing left field last night, gets his first hit. When you're number 1 overall, that's a tough one out of New York City too. That's fantastic. Good for Henry Davis. Joey Votto's back. And if you haven't watched the video that he put out with the little girl and he's driving the bus, it's absolutely fantastic. He comes back and in perfectly Joey Votto fashion, hits a home run last night.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's Hall of Famer as well, by the way. When you say Joey Votto, that's a Hall of Famer. If you don't think so, you haven't watched him enough.
Oh, I agree. Luis Arias, your guy who you did not keep in fantasy, is hitting 400. He is, which is, by the way, 75 points higher than the next guy who is Ronald Acuna at 325. What he is doing is amazing. And he is going to kill John Jay because he slaps him every time and hits him every time he gets on first base. And all that man does is get singles. So poor John Jay's getting hit 4 or 5 times a night.
Yeah, he has 3 5-hit games this month. The most ever in a season, I think, was 4 in a season. He's done it.
Unbelievable. I was going to get your take on this, but I'll save it for next time. So we'll move on from there. That's all I've got. Anything else that Ohtani has 24 jacks, by the way. Ohtani has 24 jacks.
He's the greatest player of all time. Greatest player of all time. And if you disagree, you're wrong.
2 things that we did not talk about. Shout out
to one thing
Vegas
on Ohtani.
Knights. Good Lord.
Yes.
Why
I know,
do
but
you do this?
You move on.
Formulate a sentence with some internet.
Okay, we just go.
No, go.
I don't know if you can hear me or not. You keep saying
I can't. You're fine. I'm just joking.
I don't know what I was going to say now. Oh, do you think Ohtani, if he retired after this year, would be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I do.
I do too.
I think that's the wildest thing we could ever say, and people are going to disagree with me, but yes, I do.
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah,
no one's done what he's done ever. Okay.
Outside of baseball, shout out to the Golden Knights in Vegas for their first Stanley Cup title, and then shout out to the Nuggets for their first. So that was awesome. You're welcome, America, for the Joker. Like, I'm glad you got to see him because everybody should be watching more of him, like I do during the regular season. So there you go.
And also, nice to give the Stanley Cup in America again. We don't want to give that. We haven't given that thing to Canada for like 20-something years. We don't want to do that. Keep the Stanley Cup in America every year. That's what I'm going to say.
Unfortunately, with the Nuggets win, that means it's another Kroenke championship. I don't love that, but whatever. Hey, now keep the team together and let's go win a few more. As Phoenix went out and got Bradley Beal, which still does not make a lick of sense to me, but whatever. We can talk about
Damian Lillard to the Pelicans.
Do what?
Damian Lillard to the Pelicans.
Yeah, right. Anything else you want to talk about with the Cardinals before we get out of here?
No, let's get out of here.
Okay. Look, good luck this week for the Nationals. Good luck in that basement for you. Find us on our socials. Hit the subscribe button. Look, let's turn 3 into 4. Let's turn 4 into 5. What if we come back from across the pond with another Revolutionary War win, and now we've got 7 in a row?
Yeah, the Revolutionary War was fought on American soil.
Guys, everybody have a fantastic week. We will be back probably Sunday. We'll be back Sunday to wrap up the rest of the week, and we will talk to you all soon. Take care of each other. Go Cards.